Hey everybody, welcome to One Live. How are we this evening? It is the 8th of April. Where is this year going, Gary? I'm
I
completely
don't
confused
know.
how quick this year's going.
Going
Wow,
way
that's all
too
I can
fast.
say. I know, absolutely mad, mad, mad. But at the end of the day, everybody, we're here on One Life, and we have changed our charity over. We did speak about it a bit on Sunday, and we're talking about global food banks this month, okay? So it's a bit of a good topic because at the end of the day, in the place that we're at with good old Trump's, tariffs on the world and everybody being in a place in the UK where basically we are finding things very tough. The benefit system has changed, in relation to going back to work. Well, actually, there's probably nowhere to work at the moment because the shops and the banks and everything else seems to be closing down. So the topic of food bank is really essential now. Supporting each other, helping each other, seeing that person on the street and being able to buy them a cup of coffee or a bacon sandwich as if you're in the UK, will actually cheer them up that day and actually support them throughout the day, live a healthy life, okay? Those global food banks around the world need your donations more than ever now. And what we're going to be doing throughout the month is we're going to be finding inventive ways in which our artists on One Life can help our global food banks, okay? So it's a good month to be able to join us. We are very busy this month. We are absolutely rammed with international singer-songwriters, artists, because they, like Gary, want to go to Atlanta and they want to win those awards this year over in Atlanta. So we are full of artists this month. We have roughly about 15 artists who are coming on the show. Probably a little bit more actually, because I keep getting text throughout the day saying, AJ, can you squeeze me in? Okay, I'll try and squeeze you in the best as I can. Okay. So, in relation to One Life, it has been a busy week. We have started our academy where 3 Days of Wonder, our band from Devon, have started their musical journey with their mentors, myself and the Paul Austin Band. And Aaron Smith has also started his musical routine with Dimitri and Imran. Okay, so his lessons have started this week. So the school is open and we are looking for tutors and also looking for artists around the world who want to come and join in a free, that's it, free adventure just for this short period of time, okay? Well, we open those doors, okay? So if you want to come on a 6 weeks course with some music industry artists who, I tell you what, between them have done it all when it comes to awards, walking those Grammys, walking those red carpets, writing amazing records, and even beating Ariana Grande last week to the charts in Greece. Well done, Dimitri. Number one in Greece, beating Ariana Grande, who sits in the lonely number three. He's sitting there with a big smile on his face because he has got the number one in Greece. So, in relation to One Life, just remember that we are sponsored by My Indie Radio. If you need your song playing across the airways, pop Muriel a quick text. Make sure you meta tag because at the end of the day, it won't go on the radio, okay? Make sure your single goes over to My Indie and she will play there on 7 days a week. In relation to One Life, Kimberly Ward's show, which was on live only 2 months ago, will be on My Indie on Thursday night at 5 o'clock in the UK time for her live interview audio version of what we had. So when we're talking about food banks, we were talking about Bruce Colin, who was our winner from last month, who has put this across to everybody, that a bit of a challenge. So what he's asked me to do is wants everybody to be able to join in with taking food to their global food bank. Now, Bruce has been very, very busy in relation to his music currently, and I've come up with an idea for you, Bruce. So I'm putting it out to all my artists this month who come on the show, their friends and their family, to basically start emptying your cupboards. Okay, so as soon as you come on the show, empty your cupboards, look in the cupboards to see if there's any tins or any boxes of cereal, any food that you can think of that you won't eat. Come on, I know I've been at the back of my cupboard this afternoon, and I've seen things in there which I thought, you know, I really fancy that, and it's still sitting there 4 months later, still in date, but it's sitting there 4 months later. And I'll tell you what, that could probably go to the food bank because if I didn't want to eat it now, 4 months ago, you know, actually someone else will be able to eat it and be able to survive on food more than I will be. So that's what I'm asking my artists to do. Start getting your food parcels together, find your local food bank, and I'll tell you what, introduce yourself to them. Tell them all about you. Tell them about the shows that you do, the music that you do. And I'll tell you what, if you're in Tesco's or Asda or Walmart, if you're in America, ask them to stick your song out. You know, just tell them that you're an indie artist and do you mind moving, you know, Ariana Grande out the way? Because I'll tell you what, indie artist music's a lot better. Okay, can you play that over the tannoy for us? Okay, in return, I will basically give you this box of food, you know, in terms of the food bank that you are raising money for. So I want you to do that for me. And I want you to send you your photos in with your food bank donation. And let's make Food Bank Month a really good month for all our artists. In relation to One Life, Tim Steinmuck's already done that. He had a concert for the Food Bank, Vancouver Food Bank, who Bruce actually supports. And basically, we have found his music. And at the end of the program, we will show you how we link up One Life to local and national charities. That's right. You know that myself and Bo Hoss basically done Me and My Shadow this month to support disabled adults. Okay. And basically, Tim Steinmuck has supported a food bank. So we're all doing it in our different ways. And this is what One Life is all about. So that's One Life for you. It has taken me 6 minutes to give you the updated news on One Life, but we are going over to our artist of the night, Mr. Gary Farmer. How are we this evening?
I am doing well, thank you. It's beautiful.
There you go. It's beautiful. That's what I love to hear. I tell you what, it was a 6 minute sort of snapshot on what One Life is, and some people sit back and go, wow, how do we get through so much? We get through so much because of artists like yourself. So, Gary, you know, from Georgia, are you originally from Georgia or did you move to Georgia?
Yeah. I am originally from Georgia, moved to Nashville for a few years, and then back to where I had been living most of my life.
Fantastic. And in relation to your music, you know, your bio is huge. You've been in the music industry for 40 long years. You have worked with some of the greatest artists and you've supported some artists along the way to make their dreams come true in relation to recording and producing and singing. You know, you've done it all in every part of the music industry. In relation to awards, you know, they are still coming in relation to the nominees. 15 nominees in two competitions. Absolutely amazing. And, you know, the fact that you are so giving to the industry as well and making people's dreams come true makes it an even special touch for yourself, Gary. But I want to start right at the beginning. At 8 years old, 8 years old, was that in front of your parents or was that a release to something to do with school? What was that all about at 8 years old?
Well, let me back up a little bit. At 6 years old, my mother knew that I had a love of music. I had a cousin that visited every summer and played uh, ragtime music, boogie woogie, all sorts of things. And I would stand for hours on end watching her play. So my mom signed me up for piano lessons. I had one piano lesson and cried so pitifully after it, she refused to send me back. But 2 years later, I started taking organ and loved it, every minute of it, and completed 2 years of lesson plans in 6 weeks' time. And 6 months later, I was playing on the radio and performing.
Wow. So, in relation to being at school, music's changed in so many ways over the last 40 years. I was just talking with another artist today about the introduction of AI and the music which is behind AI and the fact that it still sounds very tinny, very sort of robot like. We're not there, and I don't think we're ever going to be there. But you've seen some massive changes over the last 40 years in terms of being a digital world where we are now, going through the tape era, the CD era. For yourself, through your career, what has been your highlights at the very beginning of your career? Not where you are now, but at the beginning of your career. What were your highlights? What were your best bits?
Um, I guess one of the first things as far as recording goes was at 14 years old. And I got a stereo cassette recorder for Christmas. And I got to looking at the heads on the machine and said, well, that's the playback head and that's the erase head. I wonder if I could cover up half of that erase head and be able to record two separate tracks on that cassette. And it worked. So I
Oh,
was
okay.
off into fooling with recording from that point forward. Performance wise,
Wow.
I guess the main thing that really pushed me over the top in getting into performing was once again in high school. I was fortunate to have a teacher that also played in a band, a nightclub band, that he offered theory and harmony, conducting and arranging, and all those things, and got me into arranging for jazz band and that sort of thing. So I started finding a love for playing that type of music. And before I even graduated high school, started playing in a restaurant. So that that just made things take off for me.
Fantastic. Can you remember that very first gig and what you felt like when you sort of got onto the floor and people were watching you, ready to listen to your music, listen to the way you were singing?
The first professional gig or the first amateur gig? The first amateur gig, I
Amateur.
was
Let's go for the amateur. We're going backwards, okay? We're starting at the beginning of time, so let's
okay.
go to amateur gig. Can you remember what it was like?
Oh, I was in heaven. Played for what we call a sock hop, a high school dance. And I wasn't but 14 at the time, and everybody dancing and coming up and requesting songs and that sort of thing. Uh, just thrilled my heart is the only way I know to put it. I became so involved in music at that point. My whole life revolved around music, playing, writing, rehearsing. Uh, People talk about how much they practice, and I have always practiced 3 to 4 hours every day, and I still
Wow,
practice that much. Uh,
that's
I
commitment.
typically get up very early, about 5 to 6 o'clock in the morning, and read the news, have a cup of tea, start practicing for 2 to 3 hours of the morning, then get in another hour or two in the evening, besides the recording work that I'm doing with people.
Yeah. Joe, I don't think people realize, I was talking to my student last night, I don't think people realize how many hours per day musicians put into a single. I created that single just recently with Bo Hoss and it took us 3 months. But the amount of time it takes to make a single the way that you want to and making sure that it's something that you're proud of, that amount of hours, it's almost like going to the gym per day. If you want to make it in the music industry, you've got to be committed, and that 3 4 hours per day is real life. Especially with the way we advertise now and the way we use social media. I think most of us indie artists are awake probably 12, 13 hours a day talking about music. It's a huge commitment, but a fun commitment if you want to make it fun.
It's always fun for me. Every bit of what I do in music is fun. The, the thing that a lot of people don't realize when they say, I want to be a professional musician, it's not just about playing. You have to also be a art designer because you're going to have to design posters for where you're performing, CD covers. You've got to be a marketing specialist because you've got to figure out who's going to buy your product, how to market it. You've got to be a cost analyst because you don't want to pay the highest price. You want to get the product as cheaply as possible, but it being good product. So you're going to have to take care of that end of it. You've got to be a booking agent. You've got to be a travel specialist because you're going to have to organize all the travel things involved. Musicians,
If you
many times they think I'm going to be a musician, and they try and live off of just being a musician. Sometimes it's the support things is what puts the money in the bank, put food on the table, put a roof over your head, so that you can continue to perform and write and record and release new music.
definitely. In relation to one of our artists is currently in London at the moment, Robbie, I hope you're having a great time in London. You know, she's been planning her trip and her UK tour for some time now, you know, but I've seen how many months it took her to plan the trip, be a travel agent, you know, work out where the local gigs are in the UK. And she's arrived today, and good luck in the UK, Robbie. But that does show that the commitment, you know, can be a lot of fun, but a lot of hard work as well. So what we're going to do next, we are 16 minutes in, everybody. We are going to find out a bit more about Gary's music, play you some of Gary's music. And he's given me two tracks, one of his own and one of Joy's singles. So what we're going to do, I think we are going to play Limited Time Only. Can you tell me a bit about this track and how it was put together and the reasons and story behind the track?
I wrote the song 30 years ago for a band I was working with at the time called Gold Rush. We were actually recording in Nashville on the verge of signing a record deal. Uh, just had a wonderful production deal signed with a studio there and had all the time we needed to work on things. They said, we need some more songs. And I was constantly trying to come up with a different idea. And the idea actually came from one of the infomercials that you see on television. Buy it now for a limited time only. And I said, limited time only. And that struck the idea. And within about an hour's time, I had the song written. I've recorded it 3 or 4 times since I left Gold Rush. But I was introduced to a singer in New Zealand called Shay Orton. Some people may know who Shay is, some probably don't. Shay, a couple of years ago, was the #4 Elvis presenter in the world. He tours the world doing Elvis shows. Just amazing artist, great songwriter in his own right. And I was fortunate to have Shay sing Limited Time Only for me. The guitarist on it is a fellow named Joe Wilson. Joe was one of the original members of the Classics Four. Classics Four did Spooky and Traces and Every Day with You Girl. He was in that band, and he's a good friend of mine. Agreed to play guitar on it, and everything else is me. Drums, bass,
Okay.
keyboard, everything.
Multi-talented young man, I tell you, multi-talented. I love musicians, but also very jealous of musicians like yourself. When it comes to myself, it's singing only because I can't do two things at once. I'm a typical man. But for yourself, it's absolutely amazing how you can do every single thing when it comes to music industry. Anyway, for limited time only, we are going to play this track now. Okay, sit back and enjoy. And then after that, we are going to be talking local and national charities, okay?
how it began, but how's it gonna end? I need to find a way to prove I love you. My leaving you's the hardest thing I'll ever have to do. I wish that I could stay with you always. I've known you for a short time. You made me lose my mind. You made me see someone could really care. Shown me love that's so fine. Made me cross that fine line. But it's a limited time only love affair. Goodbye is what I said, but I need the time instead to be sure what I'm doing is really right. Love has been so easy, there's feelings I can't hide. I wish that I could stay with you always.
Okay, Limited Time Only by Gay Farmer. Absolutely great track. I really enjoyed that. If you didn't hear it, we all did, because it was absolutely wonderful. We loved it.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Right, okay, so what we're going to do next is we are going to go back to our charities. We are going to find out a little bit about the Vancouver Food Bank. Because this is for two of our members, a really important food bank who they do support in relation to Bruce and Tim. So I'm going to show you a bit of a clip from their YouTube so we can find out about the great work that goes on in the Vancouver Food Bank. Remember, food banks are all over the world. They're probably in your local supermarket, 2 steps away from your door, like me in Tesco's. You know, so there's no excuses, okay? So just remember what our challenge is for the month. Empty out those cupboards and take a photo with your local food bank and send it in to One Life, okay? And I'll tell you what, the best picture, I will find a little bit of a prize at the end of the month, okay? So what we're going to do, we will play this, sit back now, and we will go to the food bank trailer. It's Rethink a Food trailer, created by Vancouver Food Bank. Have a listen.
In British Columbia alone, there's $500 million worth of food wasted every month. That's $6 billion of food a year. And we have hungry kids in schools.
I saw firsthand how much food was being wasted in our community, and I knew with the right system in place how much impact we could create. I couldn't sit by and do nothing when I knew how to solve it. we're actually feeding people, feeding livestock, capturing the manure from that livestock, bringing it back to our facility, feeding it to worms that bioconverts it into growing mediums and soil amendments that then goes back to grow more food. Complete circular system. A few years ago, I connected with the Greater Vancouver Food Bank. I saw how much food could be recovered for people. And so we came together on the idea of a facility that would serve the needs of everything and everyone. And that was really the genesis of Refeed.
With Refeed, Stuart's created just a perfect solution. Food for human consumption first, then for livestock, and then the worm farm. And literally we can hold our heads high and say we have zero waste. The amount of food that we've got from Refeed, the amount of food that we've actually distributed to people. I've seen the excitement on people's faces when I'm saying, here's a case of grapes for you and your family.
And we need to do that on a global scale. We have to make big changes. We have to use innovation, our knowledge, our will. And we need everyone at the table so that we can change our broken food system.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, just for sitting and listening to our video this evening. I do like our little YouTube clips from the charities themselves. They come over very powerful. And I think that one tonight has just hit a spot, just as like everyone other does. How about for yourself, Gary? Have you ever used a food bank? Have you ever had a family member need to use a food bank?
Fortunately, no. We have a huge food bank near where I live. Flintstone, Georgia is 10 minutes from Chattanooga, Tennessee. We're literally right on top of the state line. And Chattanooga's food bank keeps expanding. It's a growing problem in the area as Chattanooga grows. The food bank is needed more and more. Every year we have a couple of food drives here that are run in conjunction with some of the local restaurants. If you order something from the restaurant and have it delivered, they will accept partial payment for the food and canned food that they distribute back to the food bank.
Brilliant.
So,
I love ideas. It's very creative.
It's all about thinking outside the box. You just have to look at other ways to try and supplement food supplies for our neighbors. Fortunately, in our area, we have a very long growing season, typically from April until October or November. So many of the farmers in the area plant a couple of crops and have an excess amount that they can distribute to people. So that helps as well.
Fantastic. We were talking a little bit before the show about some of the charity ideas and how we connect local and national charities to the indie artist world. You're saying some of the work that you've done in New Zealand, and we'll talk a little bit about New Zealand in a minute. But in relation to the connection in New Zealand and the time that you've spent in New Zealand and some of the work that you've done with Joy Adams, in relation to local and national charities, you said just before the show that she'd actually done some support to some of the children over in New Zealand. And, that was very much close to her heart as well. So could you tell the audience a little bit more while you're on air about some of that work that she was doing? Unfortunately, she isn't doing at the moment, but she was doing at the time.
Joy organized the Star Buddy Charitable Trust, and what it was designed to do was kind of like the Make-A-Wish Foundation here in the United States, where children that are in failing health, needy, different things, the Star Buddy Charitable Trust would try and make their dreams come true. something as simple as riding it in a Ferrari. They had always dreamed of riding in a Ferrari. And Star Buddy organized that.
Wow, that's fantastic. You
Unfortunately,
know,
unfortunately, they're just in a situation that because of how the monetary system has been changed, no one can exchange checks anymore. Money has to be done all straight through bank accounts and that sort of thing, and it's become next to impossible to be sure that the kids that need the help can get the help.
it's sad. It's a sad world that we live in. You know, I think at the end of the day, come on, guys, there's so many organizations out there, and we've talked about this so many times on the shows. We have seen hospital wards closed, we have seen charities closed, we have seen people who still continue to sit on the streets in the evening time because they can't find a charity to go and give them a bed at night. We are in a world of financial crisis around the world, but there are still people who can support those who are less fortunate than ourselves. And whoever this show tonight reaches, it is a very strong word from everybody here at One Life. If you can help in any way, those families need your help, those charities need your help, and we do not want to see a world where we cannot support one another. I think it's going to be a very sad time when we continue to see everything close around us, and those who are rich remain rich, and those who don't have that facility to be able to even bite an apple at night because they have to go and rely on the local food bank, which is queues are absolutely miles. I went to a food bank last week and I saw the queue outside. It must be impossible for them to keep up with demand these days. But come on, guys, we are in a time where we need support for one another. And the charities, just like Joy's charity, we need to see those thriving, those kids. And I've seen it on Make the Wish Foundation, a day trip in a Ferrari before the end of their turmoil and their end of their life actually would be an absolutely amazing thing. I've been part of Make the Wish Foundation in the last 30 years of my social care career, and I have seen some of the amazing work that they do in relation to those little dreams for children and those families, and how important it is in terms of giving them one last wish, or a wish which actually will change their world. So come on, guys, let's do it between us all. Let's get behind these local and national charities, and let's not see all these charities close down. Okay, give them some support, give them some help. Joy, if you're out there listening, okay, absolutely fantastic work that you have done. And I'm sure in the future, with others' support, we may be able to get you back up and running and get the organisation back up running, even if it's a little trip once a year for someone quite special. So, perhaps Joy, I'll tell you what, we do this. Gary, you don't know about this. What we do on One Life is we do try and work together and collaborate together, okay? So, Joy, if you're listening, One Life is going to set you a One Life challenge, and this is what we do on a One Life challenge. We set little things for us to do in One Life as a family, okay? So, us indie artists this month, we're going to help Joy, okay? We're going to continue some of her work, okay? We are going to find someone in Georgia to sponsor, to give a little bit of a dream to, whether it's going out for a coffee with someone that they really, really wanted to go out with, whether it's a musician that they really wanted to meet, or whether it's someone who, they really look up to, okay? Let's try and make someone's dream come true this month. So we concentrate on food banks, but let's help Joy in her charity and give her some of that smile that she had on her face when she made something come true, okay? So come on, indie artist world, okay? You've got lots of connections, okay? We have been interviewing people who have been on Spider-Man. We've been interviewing people who have literally been part of the movie world. Okay, so if you're listening, this is a personal plea. Let's help a kid in the next couple of months, okay? And help Joy also. And we get Joy on board and we do something special for one of the children that she worked for. Give her a bit of smile on her face. What we're going to do now, Gary, is we are going to go to your next song, and then we're going to be talking about the ISSA Awards, because I tell you what, we all need the votes, okay? So remember, everybody who's listening to the show tonight, Gary needs your votes, I need your votes, and so do all the other artists, okay? So we're going to do the next song, and then we're going to be talking awards, okay? So let's go to A Little Bit Bolder, okay? Why was that song produced, and tell me the story behind it.
Joy has been having some health problems over the last few years. She's a DJ as well, and a singer, and a record promoter, plus performer, songwriter, and she suddenly lost her voice completely. Had a problem with her vocal cords, so she could no longer sing, no longer perform. But by a miracle, she met a doctor that was able to do a procedure, and she got her voice back. Then along came cancer. She had cancer. And before her surgery, she said, I want to write something that's going to be up-tempo and positive and something that's easy, 3 chords that everybody can play along with. I just want it to be a feel-good song. So while she was in the hospital, I put together a piece of music for her. And we talked about it, and she wrote lyrics to it. And Be a Little Bit Bolder is that.
You know what, Joy, you're an amazing woman by the sounds of it. All the things that you can do in the music industry, all the battles that you've been through life. I mean, you're still going very, very strong, young lady. And the music you produce and the voice that you have is absolutely amazing. It's a gift. And we're very pleased that you've got through all that you've got through in relation to beating cancer and beating all the health conditions that you've had. So let's play this song and let's all listen. And Joy, if you're listening out there, we're all listening to your absolutely amazing, great song. Okay, so Be a Little Bit Bolder. It's now playing.
Every day is a brand new day. You never know what's coming your way. A big surprise waiting round the corner. Take a chance, you're gonna win. You get out of life what you put in. Try to catch the breeze so you can fly. Oh, you're never too old to make a difference. Never too wise to learn a thing or two. And tomorrow you'll be another day older. The best things in life are free. Be whatever you wanna be. Throw caution to the wind. Be a little bit bolder. Hold your head up high. Reach for the sky. Seize the day. Be a little bit bolder. Grow old but never grow up. Drink coffee from a fancy cup. Go a little crazy if you want to. Do the things that made you smile when you were young. It's been a while. It's time to make your dreams come true. Oh, you're never too old to make a difference. Never too wise to learn a thing or two. And tomorrow you'll be another day older. The best things in life are free. Be whatever you wanna be. Throw caution to the wind. Be a little bit bold. things in a life are free. Be whatever you wanna be. Throw caution to the wind. Be a little bit bolder. Oh, you're never too old to make a difference. Never too wise to learn a thing or two. And tomorrow you'll be another day older. The best things in a life are free. Be whatever you wanna be. Seize the day, be a little bit bolder.
Fantastic. A little bit bolder there, everybody. I'll tell you what, it's one of those type of songs that's going to stick in my mind all week. And I bet you did it. That's deliberate, wasn't it, Gary?
That's the intent. We want it to stick in your mind. I have a question for you, AJ.
Go for it.
What is the number one selling instrument in the world?
Number one selling instrument in the world. That's an interesting one, actually. I would probably say piano or keyboard.
No, ukulele.
Ukulele. Oh my God, really?
Yes,
Oh wow.
ukulele.
Okay, got that completely wrong.
And if you notice, Be a Little Bit Bolder has ukulele.
I
I
could hear
did.
it. You did it. Wow. Really? Is there any instrument you can't play?
Well, that was part of my training in high school. I had to learn to play, not well, learn the mechanics of every instrument.
Wow. Do you know what? I'm in awe to you, Gary. I really am. You know, Imran's offered me guitar lessons, and I keep thinking, am I going to be able to do that? It's just one instrument. Come on, Adrian, you could do it. So I did say to Vanessa last night for my birthday this year, can I have a guitar? Because I'm going to give it another go. Because I know, Imran, I trust in you, buddy, that you're going to teach me well. And at least by the tender age of 49, I can say that I've managed to play one instrument in my life, whereas Gary's playing them all. Let's go to the awards. Let's go to Atlanta, okay? We're all preparing for this, this year. And I think looking through the list of amazing artists, I think it is the biggest year that we have done it this year in relation to the amount of nominees. We're all sitting daily voting. We're only on day 8, before we find out the finals in May. It's a really busy time for all us artists in terms of putting our nominations forward. But you've been there, you've done that, you've worn the t-shirt, you've won in 2023, you got that gold medal. Is it any different now knowing that you've already won it and now putting in again and going for it again? Is it any different now? The nerves still the same?
It's still the same, the thrill of getting to compete. Actually, I did not win 2023. I won 2024 with sound
Okay.
engineering. But 2023, Joy won for the album that I produced. So I didn't win, but yes, I did win because she won.
You did. That's it. You won together. And in
Yeah,
relation to your nominees this year, you've got a list of nominees this year. So what are you going in for this year in relation to what you're nominated for?
I would like to win Musician of the Year. I
Is
would
that the one you're
really
going
like
for?
to win that.
There's some
You know,
amazing, talented indie artists this year. Have you looked through the categories? I tell you what,
oh,
even the radio stations and the podcasters, and producers and singers, songwriters, albums. Wow, what talent there is this year.
there's some incredible talent out there that are independent artists. But when you really think about it, because of how the music industry has changed, the people that used to be called major acts are now independent artists because record companies are not what they used to be. The business has changed, and everybody that's out here in the world doing music, you are actually an independent artist. So ISSA is just that jumping off point to make your name a world evening topic of uh, discussion around the dinner table.
Definitely. You know, just that little like snippet, Dimitri, just that little snippet. Come on, us independent artists can beat Ariana Grande. I'm gonna keep putting it on there because I'm so proud of him this week. You know, his little smile on his face when he told me all about it. You know, at the end of the
Right?
day, the topic of indie music is absolutely huge with the ISSA radio playing daily and being able to put on our songs that we produce on a weekly basis. You know, it's a big, big time. Those nominations, everybody needs your votes, whether you are friends, whether you're family. And I tell you what, I had a great tip from one of the artists the other day. She basically invited her daughter's friends to the family home, and before they even got started with their meal, she told them to all get their mobile phone out, and they all asked why. She basically told them because I need your votes. So could you please get your mobile phones out and vote for me? Okay, there's some creative ways in which we can get votes, okay, in relation to the posts that you put out, in relation to your friends and family. But I tell you what, whatever happens this year, please vote because at the end of the day, these artists have worked their socks off to provide you with music, entertainment, you know, on your local radio shows. You know, Gary, your music goes out to an humongous amount of radio shows over the last 40 years and it still continues to do so. You know, placing on radio shows is a big important part of getting your music heard these days, and especially off independent radio shows as well. You know, so it's not just the mainstream shows, we can go independent now, and there's so many radio shows that we can go to. But you know, that's a lot of hard work, and you know, so you must spend a lot of your evenings doing that.
Every day, all day, from the time I hit the floor until the time I go to bed, it revolves around music. When I just
Fantastic.
returned from New Zealand, I got back Friday morning a week ago at 4 a.m. At 8 a.m., I was in the studio mixing projects, and I worked
Really?
until about 11:30 that night, all day.
Wow.
And it's that way just about every day of my life. I have to make myself get up and go somewhere to get away from it for the day.
Wow.
And
I tell
even
you what,
then,
if
I might be out tuning a piano or something like that.
if you're listening to the show tonight, you know, Gary is a seasoned pro when it comes to indie music. You know, great music, great support to the local indie world, you know. But the commitment to the indie world, Gary is purely showing you, and in any of my students who are watching this show tonight, okay, Gary's not telling any rubbish. He is literally in the studio or going around different places like New Zealand and literally going back to the studio that same morning as his plan lanes. You know, that is if you want to commit to the indie world and you want to make great music and win great awards, you know, that's a commitment that you've got to give, you know, but it is good life. It is good fun. You know, it's not all about money, but it is also about the joy that you have making music and collaborating with different artists. And I think that's what the ISSA does absolutely fantastically well. We all collaborate with each other, and it's almost like one big happy family that we have in relation to the music world. So, in relation to yourself, Gary, come on, there must be something away from getting you out of that studio. Do we have friends who drag you away from that studio at night and say, come on, let's do something different, which doesn't involve doing a piano or making music?
It, even my family can't get me out of here. It really, music has been, it's been my solace in the times of being so sad that I couldn't stand it anymore. Playing music brought me out of it. It helps me to celebrate. Uh, it gives me anything that I look for in this world. Music brings it to the forefront.
Oh. Is music your full time job? Do you have another job?
I tune pianos, but
You do pianos?
still, but it's still music. It's still
Gary,
performing.
are you married? Are you married? Have you got family?
No, my wife passed 4 years ago from COVID. I have 3 kids and 2 stepkids and 10 grandkids.
10.
So,
Wow. Okay. Oh,
so
I'll tell you what. I
trying
can
to get,
imagine. I can imagine Christmas in your house with the 10 grandkids, you still playing the piano, and them saying, "Granddad, can we do something different than music today? Can we go out and do something? Go for a film? Do you watch films?"
no, I watch very little
No.
television. Very, uh, I don't go out to movie theaters anymore. I used to go to movies quite often, but when COVID came along and the world changed, I got out of the habit, and I just don't have the desire to go out to a movie anymore. I do enjoy going out to dinner. Uh, you know, I I live in the Chattanooga, Tennessee area. I'm 2 hours to Atlanta, 2 hours to Nashville, 2 hours to Dollywood, 2 hours to Huntsville, Alabama, and the Space Center. So where I'm at, within 2 hours, I can go and do things and then be back home that evening. So I do make some day trips out to do things like that. Um, Not as much as what I used to do, simply because I'm busy working on music for indie artists.
Definitely. Do you look after yourself, Gary? Because in the artist world, can swallow us under the table and not give us a break. But you're enjoying yourself. You're doing what you love doing, and that's the best thing about it. Okay, whether you relax or do other things, or whether you do continue to keep in your craft to make you happy. At the end of the day, it's what we do in this world. Just a message for any indie artists out there. It can swallow you up. It can get tough out there, and if you feel as though you need a break from the music world and from that mad world of keeping awake till 3 o'clock in the morning while you pack up your music equipment from your gig that you've been to, please remember your family, your friends, and just basically enjoy life. That music's always going to be there. The love of music's always going to be there, and your next gig will always be there. But time for yourself is just important, and that's one thing that we do speak about in the academy more, because at the end of the day, yourself and looking after yourself is just as important. But Gary, absolutely fantastic. You've got a new album coming out. Is it out now? Is it been released?
It has not been released. I actually released an album called Full Circle a few years ago, and it when I had it mastered, I didn't do the mastering myself. I had somebody else mastering. And when the final product come back, I just was not happy with how it sounded, and I made the decision to pull it off the market. And I'm planning to revisit that whole album, remix everything, remaster everything myself, and release it again. Of course, it's been in the works for 2 years to get that done. I still haven't gotten everything done on the
Perfectionist, aren't you, Gary? That's why you win so many awards. You sit there and you don't do it until it's ready to come out. I know your sort. But I'll tell you what,
album.
Gary, the list of awards that you've had over the last few years and the list of nominees that you're going for now, you're still blowing people out of the water. And with great artists that you work with, I was looking on your Facebook page, it's not just about creating music in the studio, it's working one to one with people like Joy. And I'm sure if Joy was on the show this evening, she'd be thanking you for all that hard work and all that support that you've given her throughout her career. But it's not just Joy; it's other artists that you've touched. You've had a record label. You've supported the indie artist industry. And there's still things that you do now to help those indie artists to have that best possible sound, to be able to make absolutely amazing music, and still things that you're doing now. So thank you for everything that you've given to the indie artist world.
Well, the bottom line is if, if you are going to go to the trouble of writing a song and release it, you want to do the best you can to make everybody feel what you feel with writing those songs. And I'm kind of the guy that's there to help guide you. That's what I've always done. Everybody has Uh, well, everybody in Nashville that knows kind of got at a point that they said, you need to just get away from Nashville because you're undermining us. We don't like that. I came back home and I built a studio behind my house and I've run everything from here.
Brilliant, fantastic, and an absolute amazing producer, great singer, great musician, and someone we're all going to look up to from now on, from time to come. In relation to the people that you've worked with, including Joy out there, is there anybody out there that you want to say a special thank you to in relation to, helping you in your career? And also who you want to beg for money for because the votes are coming in now. So if you give some special mentions, you never know, they might be voting for you at the end of the show tonight. Okay, so there you go. Give us some special mentions on the show tonight. Tammy apparently isn't allowed to vote. I did try yesterday, but she told me to go away, Adrian. She can't vote.
Well, one person, and he's sadly passed on now. When I worked with Vern Gosden, uh, I wouldn't take anything for the experiences that I had while working with him because my while the performing end was wonderful and the travel, I got to hit 48 states while I worked with him. Uh, Played the Grand Ole Opry 6 times while I was with him. But it also got me involved with the business end, the background stuff, the contractual things that had to be dealt with record companies and booking agents and venues. That whole end of the industry, I couldn't say enough about the training I got while I worked with Vern.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Do you know what? There's been some great people that you've worked with, looking at your bio in relation to, continuing on with your work that you do and how you can be contacted. I gather there's your websites, there's your social media pages. Where's the best place to find Gary Farmer's information?
Look me up on Facebook, but I'm not the Gary Farmer that's the actor. There's another Gary Farmer he's an actor and a musician and a Native uh, American. So I am too, but I'm not him. I'm not an actor.
Fantastic. There you go. And we'll all find your
So
amazing music. Even if you don't go to the Facebook site, we can find you on the International Singer Songwriters and many great radio stations as well. There's plenty of places where we can find you.
well,
Okay,
thank you.
so you're welcome. Absolutely welcome. In relation to One Life, let's come towards the end of the show this evening. It's been an absolutely fantastic show. Gary, we've had over 45 minutes. We've gone on to an hour because we've had such great music and such great stories of how you've got into the music industry and also how you've touched local and national charities. Thank you for all of the information that you've shared with us this evening. We would love to have you back on the show in the next 6 months. It'd be great to catch up with yourself. Perhaps bring Joy along with you. We'll have a cup of coffee together.
Very good. I may send her your way too.
That sounds absolutely fantastic. I'd love to have her on the show. So anyway, One Life people, it's time to say goodbye. We're coming back on Thursday night. We have got another ISSA nominee. We have all the way from Australia. You've got to join me at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, okay? Because Australians are upside down in terms of time ways. Okay, so Andy Smith is coming on the show at 12 p.m. lunchtime on Thursday. So please join us, okay? Because I am absolutely looking forward to meeting this young man and finding out all about his music dreams and how he is going to be taking home those medals from the International Singer-Songwriters Associations in Atlanta. Take care of yourselves. Have a great evening. And we'll see you on Thursday night. Take care. Bye-bye.